The case of Harvey Morrison Sherratt, a child in need of spinal surgery, a child who is left to wait for years in agony, who died on July the 29th of this year, has been raised many, many times on the floor of the Dáil, and I raise his name again with you today. In the summer of 2024, Harvey was removed from the spinal surgery waiting list by CHI. In August of 2024, his parents found that out quite by accident, that he had been removed from the list, removed without their knowledge or their consent. And they fought really hard to get him back on the list, to get him finally the surgery that he needed. He had been left to wait for so long that his spinal curve had reached 130 degrees. Harvey suffered, his parents Gillian and Stephen suffered, and now they suffer the worst pain of all, having lost him. He was only 9 years old. Gillian and Stephen have consistently asked how, why, when Harvey was removed from the list, why his agony was extended and his treatment delayed. And they got no answers. Only spin, only lies, only deception. Until a whistleblower from within CHI came forward with the truth. And the answer to Stephen and Gillian's question was sent to the Minister for Health in a protected disclosure on August the 31st and to the HSE on September 12th. But it had been known to many senior managers within CHI long before that. The truth is that Harvey, having been deemed fit for surgery following an assessment made by an outside consultant from Great Ormond Street Hospital on the 17th of May 2024, a decision was then taken just weeks later by CHI to remove him from the list and to describe his future care as palliative. The whistleblower has identified each step of this scandal which left a small, vulnerable child to suffer and deteriorate. And this is just the latest episode, and I think the most devastating, in the failure of children with scoliosis and spina bifida, children who needed spinal surgery. Successive ministers for health, including Simon Harris and the current minister, have failed these children, and now is the time for accountability. Taoiseach, your government has failed at every level to get to grips with this scandal, from your failure to keep the first promise that no child would wait longer than 4 months for surgery, to your failure to deliver care and treatment to these children, your failure to give frank and transparent information. You see, it was widely known that Harvey was deliberately moved from the waiting list despite being fit for surgery. His parents didn't know, though. Nobody told them. They were left in the dark despite their pleas and protestation, despite meeting with the Taoiseach and the Minister for Health. They found out in a Sunday newspaper why Harvey was removed from the list. How can they or any other parent now have any trust in you or anybody else entrusted with the care and treatment of their children? Harvey was wrongly and deliberately removed from the list. Did this happen to other children? Taoiseach, is there now a commitment to deliver a full statutory inquiry to get to the bottom of this case and others? And what, Taoiseach, do you say to the parents of Mikey Henry Benson, a child in Mayo, who were told by CHI that there was no treatment for their children, to simply take him home and make special memories with him?
Taoiseach to respond.
First of all, I thank the Deputy for raising this very serious issue. And I have offered my condolences to Harvey Morrison Sherratt's family, to Gillian and to Stephen on previous occasions, as you have, and I do respect your commitment to the issue. And as I have said in this House before, no words of condolence or consolation to Harvey's parents are enough, because it's an enormous trauma for any parents to go through, but in these circumstances even more traumatic in terms of the experiences that the family and Harvey have had with hospitals and the clinical world itself, and it is unacceptable. The Government is anxious to help the family to find the answers to the questions that they have about Harvey's care. The Minister for Health asked for a multidisciplinary report on the chronology from CHI regarding their involvement in Harvey's care and the key milestones as recorded on the CHI hospital records. The HSE CEO received this draft report on the 19th of August and shared the report with Harvey's parents. The HSE CEO and the Minister have made it clear that they view this report as a draft until such time as the family have the opportunity to comment on and feed into the chronology and ensure any additional information they have is reflected in this final report or in the final report. The Taoiseach and the Minister for Health met with Harvey's parents on September the 29th, 2025, and at that meeting there was agreement that there would be an inquiry and that the detail of it would be determined in partnership. Following the meeting, as agreed, the Minister for Health wrote to the parents on the 13th of October, setting out the range of types of inquiries available, and the Minister subsequently attended the AV room briefing, which indeed many members of this House here also attended, to listen to the requests being made. There will be a meeting today now between the Minister and the Taoiseach, following up on this, and the objective is to make progress on the nature and format of an inquiry which will be commissioned. With regard to the Sunday Times report on a protected disclosure being made to the Department of Health, I just want to make absolutely clear, Deputy, and I don't think it should be conflated wrongly, but I want to make it clear that neither myself, the Taoiseach, nor the Minister for Health had any awareness of this. This is a factual position, and it's not right or proper that in my view, that any other construction should be put on it. As we now know, any protected disclosure is investigated by an independent person, not by the Minister nor anyone else. The allegations, as you have outlined, are very serious and do warrant investigation. And that is currently underway in the manner set out in law by the protected disclosure process. There is clear legislation outlining how protected disclosures are dealt with now. And I would accept fully and understand fully the distress, serious distress to the family who have been wanting to know for some time why Harvey was removed from the waiting list without any notice or discussion. And indeed in this House I've said myself, when it was alerted to me by the Deputy, I think next to I said that's unacceptable. Every parent should be informed. You've made a point that he was deliberately removed. I don't know the circumstances. I don't know why would someone be motivated to deliberately remove the child from a surgical waiting list without telling the parents. That to me is something that's I can't comprehend.
Thank you, Taoiseach.
And that does need to be the subject matter of an inquiry.
Thank you. Deputy McDonald.
So, one of the fundamental problems here, Taoiseach, is that there has been a strategy or an approach of delay, deceive adopted with these parents in the case of Harvey. He was removed deliberately from the wait list. That decision was taken. That decision was taken despite the fact that he had been judged to be fit for surgery by an outside consultant. That happened. The Minister knows this because the protected disclosure arrived on her desk on the 31st of August and arrived to the HSE on the 12th of September. There is nothing legally to prohibit the Minister or anybody else in receipt to study and to absorb that protected disclosure. I am very glad that there will be a statutory inquiry. I hope that you get the terms of reference right. But I am deeply troubled by the fact that the system can act to deceive, to delay, to leave parents entirely in the dark, to leave small children to suffer and suffer and suffer, and there's never accountability. There's never accountability for this. As a matter of fact, the great irony is that the only person who has suffered within the system as a result of this is the whistleblower herself. And I raise that again on another occasion on the floor of the Dáil.
Yeah. Deputy, I think you've made a comment there in respect of the Minister receiving this, which is not correct, in the sense that there's a dedicated channel, a secure dedicated mailbox set up to receive protected disclosures via the ministerial channel. The Minister doesn't engage in that. The legislation is very clear on that. No, sorry, this was passed in the House. The legislation was passed. The protected disclosure was received in the mailbox, right, on the 31st of August. On the notification sent from the department to the reporting person informing them that in accordance with Section 8. Well, you're not, because you gave an opposite perspective to that, and I didn't interrupt you, please. Forwards to the Commissioner for Protected Disclosures. The Commissioner for Protected Disclosures, who's responsible, acknowledged receipt on the 2nd of the 9th. Once transmitted, the Commissioner independently determines the appropriate prescribed person or public body to follow up on the disclosure. The HSE have issued a statement, as you're aware, and then Ministers are required to establish dedicated channels to receive protected disclosures and to publish information on how to access and use the reporting channel. Secure dedicated mailboxes set up to receive protected disclosures via the ministerial channels. Access to records is strictly limited to ensure that the identity of the reporting person and any persons named in a report are kept confidential to the greatest extent possible.
Deputy, please don't
All disclosures received by a Minister or Minister of State must be transmitted to the Protected Disclosures Commissioner within 10 calendar days of receipt. That's a statutory requirement.
Deputy Marie
under the Act.
You're way over time also.
I am, because
you are,
the Deputy was too, but it's not good enough that misleading presentation should be made by the Deputy. Let's not play politics.
Please.